you have music ready too? Why is my hold on? There's something coming through here in the audio mixer. Why am I in?
And welcome everybody to the Friday Night Pep Rally. I'm Pep Fernandez. That's my partner, Jeff Gorham. Wait a second here. This is a Jeff Rally. I'm Jeff Gorham. That's my partner over there, Ghazal Hassan. Welcome to Week 10, where we're going to separate all the winners, the losers, the champions, who makes the playoffs. You name it, we will have it. Ghazal, we had a great night tonight. What are your thoughts going into Week 10?
Well, it's like the old days, right? Parents are out of town. We're having friends over. We're going to talk some football. We're going to have some food. Did you bring the M&Ms?
No, I don't bring M&Ms. I'm on an all-water diet so I can be thin and good-looking and ready for a hoop season. But we have ourselves a full show tonight. We're going to have scores, highlights, and like I said, we're going to have the league standings, break down everything inside the city of Riverside and outside. Pep Fernandez has the week off, so it is just the Jeff Rally. Like I said, we're going to have John Rice join us a little bit later on to talk about the breakdowns of the CIF playoffs. But let's go into the first game of the week, and that would be Ramona versus Patriot. Patriot looking to upset and maybe put a problem or a wrinkle into the Ramona's 10-0 season. Let's go to the highlights. There it is. They are at Patriot, and this was a good one to say the least. Ramona looking to go 10-0, winning, 17, 18 games in a row?
The Molly Ringwald Bowl, going for 16.
16 straight as the Ramona Rams wearing their powder blue pants. And here's the first play, Isaac Mata. Mata throws a deep pass to Troy Long for the setup. Long goes down to about the 15-yard line. Then there's a handoff to Ramona. That would be Sincere Tolbert, who drives in for the first score of the night to go 6-0 Ramona. And then on their first play in the second half, Patriot hands off the ball to Jose Felix, who breaks tackles only, as we see here, a great run, but he will lose the football after making a great play, and that will be a tough break for the Patriots. Patriot then goes to Grant Jones to Isaac Galiza for the touchdown, and the score was 13-7 at that point. But Ramona would come back and strike back as we see Cody Shiner. He has been great. Oh, no, that was not Cody Shiner. That was Cody Shiner taking a shot. We didn't have that in the highlights. But then this is Cody Shiner, and Shiner's going to make his way back as he goes up the sideline. Mr. Shiner for the touchdown, making the score 19-7 Ramona. And then eventually Ramona would go on to score again with a run and TD from who else? Cody Shiner. And that was the score, 26-7, as Ramona goes 10-0 to beat Patriot and to win the River Valley League title.
Ken Mashinsky and the Rams are River Valley League champions for the second time. How about that? 16 straight wins. If you thought Coach Mush was insufferable, it's going to be even worse. No, I kid. What a great year for the Rams, and what a great run for Coach Mashinsky in both groups. They finished off last year, winning their last 6 en route to a state championship. 10-0 heading into the playoffs here in 2024.
Now, where do you see Ramona going into the division? Last year, I think they were, what were they?
Division 11.
Division 11.
They won the Division 11 championship. You know, in the latest projection, I had them in the 7, squarely in Division 7. They could maybe even sneak into the lower part of Division 6, but I think once all is said and done, they're probably a D7 team, Jeff.
All righty, so Ramona continuing their dominance, and like I said, Ken Mashinsky's doing a great job. 16 straight wins dating back to last season, 6 in a row last year. and 10 this
I
far
mean,
this
just
year.
the body of work since he got there. You look at that program, how it's been transformed. And remember, they've been struggling for a little bit. Damon Dustin got to the playoffs one year. Vinny Fazio got into the playoffs one year. But in terms of just the consistency on both sides of the football, the offense, the defense, they're well coached, and their kids are all great. So great job by the Rams.
And you look at the last 3 seasons, Ramona's had 3 different quarterbacks, and none better, I think, than Cody Shiner, who's really came into his own. He's a Swiss Army knife. Played receiver last year. He was the backup quarterback. Didn't get a lot of time as that quarterback, but he has been that dude this year.
It helps to see the game from different perspectives, and he was able to do it and was great as a receiver towards the end of the year last year, had a big run in the playoffs, and now this year he's leading their playoff charge here late in the season. Congratulations to the River Valley League champs.
Well, let's talk about the other team. We'll keep it in the River Valley League, and that is Super Duper Harupa Valley as they took on Norte Vista. It was the senior night for Norte Vista. Let's go to the highlights. They are over at Norte Vista Stadium, Alvord Stadium. There is a run by Isaac Costello. Costello moving his way down the field. They get their first score. That's 7-0 Norte Vista in front of Harupa Valley. And then, of course, who do you go to? Their guy, Dreddy, Mr. Roadrunner, Elaine. He's going to come in from a 1-yard score to make the score 14-0 Norte Vista over the Jaguars. And then here's a 4-yard run from Julius House, taking it all the way to the house. And that would go up 22-0 after the 2-point conversion. And then more Norte Vista highlights. This is Seth Bolander. Bolander goes for a big 69-yard touchdown run, and that would do it 35-0 as Norte Vista wins at Super Duper Harupa Valley. Now, Norte Vista 9-1. Their only loss of the year was to Ramona High School. What are your thoughts? Where do you think Norte Vista? What are their chances? Could they end up?
In the latest projection, I do have them at the top of Division 9, but I believe after the win and Ramona winning, their rating will go up a little bit. They could squarely be in Division 8. So 8 is great. 8 is a number I do not hate. But I mean, 8 or 9, probably Division 8, maybe the top of Division 9, depending on how everything else shakes down. Because when you're kind of at the bottom top, weird things happen depending on who gets an at-large. Maybe a team that was expecting to win and get an AQ doesn't get an AQ. They get an at-large. It can drop you down a little bit. I actually talked with Ken Batdorf this week. We kind of discussed all those scenarios. So he kind of thinks, I think he thinks they're going to end up in 8. That's what he feels.
Okay, what is their signature win this year?
Probably Great Oak on the road.
Great Oak on the road. That's a great win. So Norte Vista goes to 9-1. We'll hear more about where they're going to land on Sunday afternoon. I think the pairings come out at 1 o'clock. We will have those pairings here on Riverside TV on the website. Somehow we will get all of the matchups in the CIF playoffs. Let's stay in the River Valley League as we go to Rubidoux versus La Sierra. Not a really, it doesn't mean much, but it does mean much for these two teams. Rubidoux and La Sierra coming in. Rubidoux now joining the River Valley League, their first season. And La Sierra, who has struggled a bit, trying to make some headway. They do have a couple wins now. Let's go to those highlights. Rubidoux versus La Sierra. Jesse Vasquez scores quickly for Rubidoux. Then, of course, it is Eddie Roy, the quarterback, throwing deep to Omaro McCoy for the great pass.
Roy to McCoy.
And then Roy once again to Mr. McCoy. That's the touchdown for McCoy. So McCoy and Roy doing well. And then it's Roy to Eric Mays. Willie Mays Hayes for the touchdown. They go up 12-6. Then, of course, we have a highlight from Rubidoux. Rubidoux, the big running back, number 13. That's Vasquez from Gabe Rios for the score. And then, of course, it is Roy once again to Omaro McCoy. McCoy goes down for the score. And La Sierra would go on to win this game 20-14. But at the very end of this game, we will see something that happens. There's one great play here is the receiver Vasquez throws it. Gabe Rios catches it on his back, and then a melee ensues. Something you never want to see in high school football. as you see players, coaches, referees, flags. I don't know what flags are going to do in that case there, because all of them say, hey, knock it off. But it took a while for these two teams to separate. So La Sierra goes on to win this game 20-14, and that was the battle for a winner, I should say, in the River Valley League.
La Sierra 2-3, they're kind of trying to move up. It gives them hope for next year. They can talk to the guys that are coming back and say, okay, let's take some of that spirit we showed at the end of that game and transport it into next year. I always like the River Valley League, partially because we cover it, and partially because it reminds me of the 70s country band, the Pure Prairie League. I had a crush on a girl named Amy in high school, and they do that Amy song, the Pure Prairie League. John Rice can talk to you about it if you don't remember it.
Wait a second. Wait, Pure Prairie League is a band?
Country band.
Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about country at all.
John Rice would. John Rice,
do you know anything about country?
I think not.
John Rice? I think John Rice
He's
knows.
a huge. What are you talking about?
Me thinks not.
You and your cowboy hats. Come on, John.
I am a rap fan. Everybody knows that. So, all righty. So let's go.
Only Oakland rap, though, right?
Only Oakland, yes, because I was friends at one time with Too Short. Everybody's laughing at me and saying, no way. But yes, I know Too Short. And I can't say his lyrics because my wife and children would leave me. So let's keep it in the River Valley League scoreboard. Let's go to the scores right now. No, we're not doing that. All right, there we go. Ramona 26, Patriots 7.
They lock up the River Valley League title. Patriots should still be in the playoffs. I figure they'll be the third AQ, probably Division 11 or Division 12 for Chris Fowler. Does a great job. He's a Cowboy fan, so he needs some good news. They're going to the playoffs.
And we mentioned Harupa Valley, Super Duper Harupa Valley versus Norte Vista. And that score, I believe, was 35-0. And then we had Rubidoux versus La Sierra to finish out that scoreboard. The River Valley League, let's go through the standings. Here they are. Ramona 5-0, 10-0 in overall. And then Norte Vista followed by Patriot. How do you see those teams? Could they get a 4-team, or is it just a 3-team league?
Probably not. Yeah, I don't think any of the other three teams have enough of a resume for an at-large. But, I'm not on the committee. They don't need to impress me. I'm a nobody. I'm nothing. But I think 3 teams, it's a 3-team playoff out of the River Valley, Ramona, Norte Vista, and Patriot. Congratulations to all 3 of those teams for doing what they needed to do.
All righty, so that will be a wrap for the River Valley League standings, as now we head on down to your favorite league. It is called the Sun Belt League.
The Fun Belt.
The Fun Belt
Because it's
League.
always fun when the teams get together, Jeff.
Well, I'll tell you what, tonight you and I were on the call as Valley View versus Hillcrest, and this one had some implications, didn't it?
HPI, heavy playoff implications for both teams. They both came in. Hillcrest came in at 1-3, needing a win. Valley View came in at 2-2 with the opportunity to lock up the third AQ out of the Fun Belt.
Well, here we have it, and here are the highlights. Gazal, take it away.
Early in the game, banging down inside for a touchdown for Hillcrest. That's Reyes Ortiz. He'll squeeze in. You see there, he was pulled back, but then got through against Jarvis Williams. Touchdown Hillcrest to lead it off. Then Jesse Vega flings it out to Winston, and he'll dance 28 yards to pay dirt. The PAT was missed by Hillcrest. Winston to the end zone. Touchdown Valley View, 7-6. Another angle there as he shrugs off the tackle of Nico Bernal. Put that in the memory bank. I'll come back later. 7-6 in favor of the Eagles. And now here we go. Villasenor hits Nicholas Shaw in stride, 43 yards to pay dirt. Villasenor pressing the duty because of injuries to Matt Ramos and Dylan Bailey. Another look at it from a different angle. Here's Nicholas Shaw, the junior. They get him back next year. Track champion earlier in his freshman year, and he's into the end zone for Hillcrest. Now here's Jesse Vega. Two-way starter. That's a football player, as Howard Cosell would say. 31-yard touchdown run. He had over 100 yards rushing on the evening, trying to keep his team in this game, and it's a 14-14 game after the two-point conversion by Hillcrest after the missed PAT. And here we go again. Deja vu all over again. There's Shaw, just like DoorDash, to the house. 21-14 in favor of Hillcrest. Great job by the Hillcrest defense tonight. They stepped up at a couple of big spots to make a couple of big plays, and Nicholas Shaw had 5 catches for 115 yards and the 2 touchdowns. Trying to make something happen. At this point, 24-14, Vega looking. Vega scrambling, looking down the field. He's going to gun it. Nico Bernal picks it off. Second interception Joshua Garcia also had one for Hillcrest at a key time. 2 turnovers in the red zone for Valley View. They're going to be kicking themselves between the two teams. 35 penalties, so I know they're going to want to both clean those up as they get to the playoffs. Now, we found out after the game, Hillcrest lost the coin flip. So Valley View gets the third AQ. Hillcrest at 6-4. I'm fairly confident they get in, hovering around probably Division 10 or Division 11, Jeff.
Now, Hillcrest suffered some pretty serious injuries this year. Their quarterback is out, their starting running back, and it was Fajardo. We thought it would be Fajardo, the little tiny running back who has done such a great job. But
Louis.
But their great young quarterback just came out of nowhere tonight and had himself a ball game.
Yeah, he didn't. I was talking to Travis Carter, and they made the decision, hey, we're going to go with Villasenor. And he and Bailey had kind of been splitting reps. When you have a starting quarterback, when Matthew Ramos is playing, he's going to get 90% of the reps in practice, and the backups are basically doing scout teams. They're not even running your offense. They're running the opposing team's offense, which makes it tough. But Villasenor threw for 156 yards and 2 TDs last week against Rancho Christian, and what a huge game for him. He's a sophomore. He played for his brothers. He played for his seniors. It was senior night tonight, and if you watch the game on Riverside TV, there's a lot of attrition. There were some injuries. There were some illnesses on the sideline, but the young guys, Reyes, Bernal, Villasenor, Shaw, they're all going to be back next year. They all picked up their seniors, and now they have to sit and wait to see where they'll end up in the CIF playoffs, Jeffrey.
Well, you and I talked a little bit post-game, and we talked about how important it is for, such a good coach and the buy-in.
Yeah.
What has Travis Carter meant to this football program, considering everything that was off the board with injuries?
Yeah, I mean, just to keep the team together, you do a great job. I mean, you lose a player as talented as Matthew Ramos, and we knew how good a runner he is. When I talked to Coach Carter before the season, he said, hey, once he figures out, the pass blocking stuff, because he's not a tall guy, right? So he's got to see over the lineman, figure out the pass blocking scheme. The 2 games before he got hurt, Jeff, he'd thrown for 282 and 283 respectively. So he was figuring that part of the game out. So unfortunate. Obviously, you want the young man to be healthy. He was at the game today. I believe his right knee, he had a brace on his right knee. They're hoping to get him back at some point. But the great story is Alex Villasenor stepping up today and making some clutch throws. Nicholas Shaw making a couple of big plays. I talked to Ahmad Noor. Every time we get Hillcrest, I always chat with him a little bit. And he was saying, hey, I want to see that next level Nicholas Shaw. I think we saw him tonight.
Yes, we did. And let's stay in the Fun Belt League as we have another game of very important implications, and that is a crosstown rival. That is Arlington versus Poly. Let's go to the highlights. And here, Poly. Victor Aguilar, we've seen do amazing things all season long. Hits Joshua Dominguez-Wales for the end zone. That was a 11-second drive on that play, and then they get it to Victor Aguilar's to Davante Cruz Davis, and Davis is in for the touchdown, and they go up big here early. And then Arlington is intercepted by Elijah Williamson. Williamson making a big play about the 42-yard line, and it was all Riverside Poly as Victor Aguilar looked down to his guy. Who is this? Would that be Matt? Who is that guy? Coach, you know all these guys. I don't have a name on that. Matt Henry. Matt Henry is the touchdown. And then Victor Aguilar once again to Davante Cruz Davis. That seems to be his running mate tonight as they go up big. And then Maddox Long. We talk about him a lot. Maddox Long. Oh, this is not the field goal. This is the Davante Cruz Jones touchdown in the end zone. Then we go to Maddox Long. Maddox Long, who we saw this year, was great as far as fake punts, makes a big-time field goal, and Poly will go on to smash Riverside. Arlington is Aguilar to Elijah Williamson for the final score as Poly goes on to win 38-0. How important is this game?
Huge. I think it was Palomares at the end. Poly, the issue is they fell behind, right? In terms of they started 1-6, they needed a couple wins. A big win, they forced a 3-way tie for the coin flip. I don't know if it's going to be enough to get them in but you can wait and see. At-large team, probably a 3-7 at-large team, unless a lot of things go according to plan. Probably won't happen, but it just shows you that Poly, the respect that the Poly program has, because they knew, hey, this is all about the playoff stuff. They played it till the end. They were in a 3-way tie. The coin flip didn't go their way, but such great integrity from that coaching staff. You and I have been impressed with Jerron Gilbert, and I really want to praise Victor Aguilar again. The maturity he showed last year, really grew up last year, and he's kind of a leader on that team this year as a senior. That's what you want from your senior class. When they needed to get the big W against Arlington, they were able to do it. The old Inland Valley League kind of reconstituted in the Sun Belt.
And of course, Arlington going from the River Valley League. They were only in there, 3-4 years?
I think 2 years.
2 years, that's it. And they move on over to the...
Or maybe 3. Maybe it was 3.
The Fun Belt League. But let's go to the Fun Belt League scoreboard as Valley View goes down to Hillcrest 24-14 as we saw those highlights. And then, of course, let's go to Rancho Christian.
This is a surprise for me.
Big surprise here is Hemet falls 31-28. What are your thoughts on that? Because Rancho Christian is a different team than they were the first 5 games of the year.
And they're a team that now, kind of what happened to Ramona last year, right? They get placed in a division. Maybe they can get on a roll. But Hemet, they're such a good team. Hemet is so well done. They'll probably end up D7, D8, similar with Rancho Christian. I was really impressed by what I saw from Hemet this year. But obviously, Rancho Christian, they are the league champions.
Well, the Fun Belt here as we keep going here on the Arlington and Riverside Poly. You saw that highlights. 38-0 in favor of the Bears over the Lions. So let's look at the Sun Belt League standings. Go ahead and go over those with us, Gazal.
I mean, obviously, Rancho Christian and Hemet, first and second. Third AQ goes to Valley View via the coin flip, and they'll end up at 5-5 on the year, but 2-3, so they'll be the third automatic qualifier. Hillcrest, 2-3 in league, but 6-4 overall. They had the injuries. I think they do make the field. I think 4 of the 6 teams make the field, but I'm hoping Riverside Poly can sneak in somehow, because I think if they do sneak in, they could do some damage down the road.
Well, yeah, like you said, they start off 1-6. They did beat Hillcrest, a very good win there, and
Arlington.
Arlington. So it's going to be a tough one. We'll find out on Sunday. We're going to move over to a big game, and this is between the Zomalt brothers. Orange Vista versus Rancho Verde. Depending on who you like, you got one of them, and it's going to be one of the Zomalts will win. Let's go to those. Do you have the highlights?
Zomalt Bowl, here we are. C.J. Thompson finds a Marion Orange, and the first touchdown goes to the Rancho Verde High. Now, Orange Vista, they call him the real deal, Khalil Abdul-Aziz. He finds Donovan Morton III, and look at this play. Long completion, and here we go. Now it's a foot race. Can he get there? Will he get there? And he gets there. Touchdown, Orange Vista. Here they are again. Preston Yen punches it in from close in. The touchdown for Orange Vista. And now we get back. Here's that man again, the real deal, Khalil Abdul-Aziz. But this time, he's going to be chased, and he's going to make the play to get up over midfield for the first down, setting up this. Here's a big play coming up for the defense for Rancho Verde. Here's Tylen Allen coming in. Oh, and he gets him around the ankles, right on that painted Mustang at midfield. Field goal attempt is blocked by Rancho Verde. Chasing it down, stumbling, bubbling. The ball looks like it's slippery, looks like it's greased up. Elijah Malone ultimately will fall on it for Rancho Verde High. Another final shot for Rancho Verde. It's a close game. It's a 1-point game. And stepping up is Thompson. He throws it, but deflected away by Shamar Awa. And that'll be it. That'll be the final. 13-12 ends up being the final, and it'll be a win for Orange Vista. 13-12. They win the league championship, Jeff. They win the Ivy League championship in the Battle of the Zomalt brothers. Both Cal alums, apparently.
Yeah, in fact, I lived in the same dorms with the Zomalt brothers when I was up in Cal, so it's always nice to see those guys battle it out there. I know their mom was there. She went home with one of the winners, I'm sure, and the other one went home and ate soup. So let's talk about the Ivy League scoreboard, and the importance of this is you had Orange Vista, Rancho Verde. Think about this. Orange Vista had outscored their opponents 146 to 37 over the last 4 games of this season. They go on to a 13-12 win.
Slobber knocker.
It is a slobber knocker.
Pep's not here, but we should use his word.
Yes, we must say it is a slobber knocker. So let's go to the Ivy League scoreboard. Tonight, as we had Orange Vista versus Rancho Verde, we just saw those highlights. It was a 13-12 victory for Orange Vista. Then we go over to Vista Del Lago versus John W. North. North has had a struggled a lot this season.
We'll have highlights from that one, too.
Yeah, so 42-21 in favor of Vista Del Lago. And Vista Del Lago, 8-2. Pretty good season.
Yeah, they'll be the third AQ out of the Ivy League, and they can do some damage.
All righty, and then we go to my team, Liberty. How did my Bison do against Paloma Valley? The Liberty Bison with a big win, 15-point win, 35-20 over Paloma Valley. So let's go to the Ivy League standings.
Well, obviously, Orange Vista in, Rancho Verde in, Vista Del Lago, the AQ. Now, that really hurts Liberty, or hurts Paloma Valley. I think if Paloma Valley could have beaten Liberty and gotten to 6-4, they may be able to squeeze out an at-large. I don't know at 1-4 in league if it can do it. I would still, if I were them, I would still submit an application. Liberty, I think, should try too, but they always say that they don't want at-large teams under 500, and every year a handful of them get in. If you're 4-6, I would suggest to a principal and AD, submit your application for that at-large. The worst they can do is say no. If they don't, maybe you can get in and get on a roll.
All righty, so that is the Ivy League standings. As we're going to go to the first scoreboard of the night, let's look at the scores, Jason. There's a big win right there. Number 5, Centennial, winning big over a Great Chaparral team, 54-12. Coach Logan has them going pretty well right now going into the playoffs.
Huskies barking, and they're barking at the right time. They're peaking at the right time, Centennial.
And then, of course, we have Bear Bachmeyer, 56-3 over Roosevelt. How good can Marietta Valley be? Where do you see them ending up?
Top of Division II. And that'll be a super competitive division. And I think Murray Valley is top of the 2. We were talking earlier, there was some talk maybe that D1 would be a 10-team bracket. I think now it's probably going to be 8. That helps Marietta Valley. They'll probably end up at the top, the top 4. When I say the top, I mean the top 4 teams in the bracket of Division II.
All righty, and then Vista Marietta versus Norco. That was a close one. Vista Marietta taking care of Norco 20-16 as Vista Marietta goes 6-4 overall, 2-3 in the conference.
Vista Marietta, I think, gets in as an at-large. I don't think Norco gets in, but good play there by Vista Marietta.
Then we have Beaumont versus Redlands. Beaumont with a huge win. How great is Steinberg? Every single season, 9-1, 5-0 in the Big West Upper, 51-17 over Redlands.
That's Citrus Belt.
No, Citrus
Belt.
Sorry, Citrus, my fault. I'm looking over here at scores here. Okay, next score. Redlands East Valley versus Citrus Valley, and that's 37-0. Redlands East Valley struggling once again, and they're 1-9 overall.
In the Bruick Bowl, because obviously Kurt Bruick has coached both teams. Citrus Valley, if you're filling out your bracket, folks, big sleeper.
So they could be the team.
Because they're one of those teams, they'll slide down, because I think they get the AQ. They do get the AQ. They'll slide down to 7, 8, maybe in that range, and they could get on a run in Division 7 or Division 8.
All right, our next scores here. Ukaipa loses 49-10. Big win for Cajon as they go 8-2.
Cajon had that one early stumble. They're still Cajon. And obviously, Jaden Daniels doing great things in the National Football League. I think Ukaipa still gets in. I think 4 teams get in out of the Citrus Belt, Jeff.
All righty, next score here. As we've got, all right. Well, we are going to take a short break here as we're going to go through more scores and highlights from everything here in the Inland Empire. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the coach, John Rice and Ghazal Hassan, here on the Friday Night Jeff Rally on Riverside TV.
Oh, no. That's not
The City of Riverside Public Works Department wants you to know how holidays affect your trash service. Trash pickup will not be available during major holidays and collection times will be adjusted in response. Residents with city trash service will see the following adjustments. For Monday holidays, your Monday collection will happen on Tuesday and Tuesday collections will occur on Wednesdays. For Thursday holidays, Thursday service will occur on Friday and Friday service on Saturday. For Friday holidays, your Friday service will occur on Saturday. Residents served by outside vendors will experience a one-day delay of service for each day after any holiday taking place Monday through Friday. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
All righty, we are back here on the Friday Night Jeff Rally. I'm Jeff Gorham. He's the great Coach John Wrights, and that is my partner in crime, Ghazal Hassan. As now we're going to break down the King versus Great Oak. Do we have those highlights?
So here we go. This is the Big West Lower. This is a key game, heavy playoff implications. 3-1 Great Oak against 2-2 King. And scrambling, this is going to be Derek Kahn heading into the end zone for King to give them the early lead 6-0. King again taking another advantage. Kahn playing quarterback. He's going to fling it deep. Remember, he played quarterback earlier in the year. Riker Galvin is going to go up and get it. The touchdown makes it 12-0 in favor of King. And here's King again, knocking on the door in the red zone. Noah Villarreal, the senior, finding some space inside to pay dirt. 18-0 in favor of King. Here's Kahn again. This time he'll take it himself. 25-0 King on top early, but here comes Great Oak. Another opportunity for them. They get to the outside, and this is Amari Delk finding pay dirt for Great Oak, making it 25-7. Here's a special teams. We always talk about special teams. The block punt here, setting up Great Oak on the doorstep there, inside the 5-yard line. A big special teams play in a big game. And here's Braden Coletti. Coletti will take it the rest of the way to make it 25-13. They get the 2-point conversion here to make it 25-15, but that's as close as they would get. That'll be the final. Huge win for Jason McMains and the Wolves of King. They will be one of the AQs potentially out of that Big West Lower, and it sets up a big scramble because it's 3 teams for 2 spots. Marietta Mesa gets the number 1, and then it'll be between King, Great Oak, and Temecula Valley. We don't know. We haven't heard anything on that coin flip, but 2 of those teams get in as AQs.
Well, I'll tell you, we've covered King the last couple of weeks, and they just didn't seem like the team we saw them starting the season. You know, they had some injuries. They just they came out flat for a few games, but what a huge win over Great Oak.
Well, Derek Kahn playing quarterback is a big thing. Remember, when they had all those injuries, they slid him to quarterback early in the year, and they played pretty good, and they got off to a 4-0 or 5-0 start. And then they moved him back to his natural position of wide receiver, and that's Coach McMahon. Sometimes you got to make a change. He made the change. I don't know and we haven't talked to Coach, so I don't know if it was an injury situation or what happened, but obviously Derek Kahn at quarterback was the elixir that King needed, and that's a good Great Oak team. You're playing them on the road. That's a very good win for Jason McMains and the Wolves. Congratulations.
He did contact me right before we went on the air, and I asked him about the coin flip, and what he said was that they use CalPreps ratings so that they will be 2, and the Temecula Valley will be the one left out because Great Oak's higher than them.
But I do think Great Oak will get in. I think they'll get an at-large. I think they'll be in the field.
As far as 2 and 3 go.
Yeah,
So we thought it was a coin flip, but he said no, and so he's very happy to get it too.
Now, you know, Coach, you're good friends with Jason McMains as well as I think all 3 of us are. Well, Jason McMains is one of those guys. He's a chameleon. He plays an offense or a defense based on his personnel. He does it every year. He seems to get wins that he pulls them out of his hat.
He doesn't make his kids fit his system. He doesn't make his players fit into whatever he wants. He wants to adapt, as you said, and he has to do that because you have to play who you get, who enrolls in the school. We don't get to hire players. We don't get to recruit them. And so whatever he does every single year, he finds kids to play where they're best. He puts them in a position to be successful, and that has been borne out the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, we have neighborhood high schools here in Riverside. You know, they're landlocked by by homes. You have Arlington, Riverside Poly is one of those. Ramona is another school. The way the city is set up, like you said, you got to play with guys that are just in your neighborhood. And how important is that? And how good is it to feel when you make those playoffs with those kind of kids?
And it feels great because they're homegrown kids, and his staff has been tremendous. There's not been a lot of turnover. They love their kids. There's a lot of spirit, and the whole community supports them. And as we know, football does not exist in a vacuum. It is part of a school community, and they have great support from the community and administration.
And I do think first time in King history, 3 straight playoff berths. Back to, they only started playing football, I think, in 1999 or 2000. And the last coach before him that had back-to-back playoff berths was our friend Ken Wyshynski. And now not only he's done it back-to-back, he's done it 3 years in a row.
I believe he's also the all-time winningest coach in Martin Luther King history, which happened just recently this year.
Congratulations.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So now let's go to the Big West lower scoreboard. We just had King versus Great Oak highlights as we go to that score, 29-3 over Santiago. What are your thoughts? I mean, we saw the Rams last week. How good could they be in the playoffs?
They're a really good team. They'll probably end up in Division 6. They went to the Division 6 semifinals last year, and they're really well coached. They're really talented. And the thing, they're young. They got probably 2/3 of their main players all coming back. They have a great program at the lower levels. Oscar McBride does a great job over there. And that's another team I would watch coming up in the CIF playoffs out of this area.
I do think that they started out under the radar because of the teams that are around them and the schools that are around them. So they were getting beat up for a few years when the program started. Justin Schaefer used to be the head coach there. Was a friend of mine who I coached with, who's now at Mount San Jacinto. And now they're coming along, playing in tough leagues every year, playing tough competition. And now all of that work for the last 3 or 4 years, playing good competition in the league and in their preseason, and now it's paying off.
Yeah, Coach McBride's 3rd year, and they've moved up every year. They made the playoffs his first year. I think it was their first time they've been in a couple years. Last year they made the run to the Division 6 semifinals, and now I think they're poised to potentially make another run deep in the playoffs.
And Santiago, Scott Morrison back at the helm for Santiago. He will do big things. I know he's a good friend of yours, Coach.
Fantastic leader of young men. He's going to get that program back on track.
All right, let's go to the next score here. As Temecula Valley, they've kind of come out of nowhere. They win 45-0 over Corona. Temecula Valley's hit and miss. You know, they had the Bert Esposito days where they ended up winning a championship, but they look like they're back on the rise.
Yeah, they'll again. I don't know what it works out as. They'll probably get in as an at-large, and then then it's up to them to see what they can do where they end up.
And again, they were in a 3-way tie for second, so they just barely missed.
All righty, so let's go to the Big West lower standings as Murrieta Mesa sits atop 5-0, 6-4 overall.
Yeah, again, that's the team I'm going to watch going forward in the playoffs. You know, we had a nice opportunity to chat with Oscar McBride, and his whole staff. Jeff Roney's over there as well, and so they have a whole. Oh no, I'm sorry, he's worried about it, but they have a great staff over there. Rick Pontius is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Pontius Pilate. He was the former head coach at Notre Dame High School. Does a great job. He's their defensive coordinator. Wears funny pants all the time too, but wonderful guy. Let's talk Great Oak and Temecula Valley, both 3-2. How does that pan out?
Well, they're in. We already talked about it with Coach Rice.
Okay.
They do it by Cal Prep's rating in that league, and so the 3rd team will be Great Oak. But again,
they'll get the at-large bid.
Yeah, I think Temecula Valley still gets in.
All righty, now let's go over to, we have Moreno Valley versus Canyon Springs. Do we have the highlights on that one? I don't know if we have any names. We do. We don't have any names, but if coaches, feel free to talk here.
Well, we can talk. This is a true championship game tonight with Canyon Springs coming into the game at 8-1 and Moreno Valley at 7-2. And in the end, Moval took away the league championship 41-28. And what a change with Paris coming in 3rd and finishing with 7 wins. So it's nice to see the programs work hard, get in a league where they can compete, improve their level of play, and they're going to have 3 automatic qualifiers. And then Heritage came in and won 4 games this year after a coaching change the last 2 years.
Interesting, because we hear a lot of talk about, we should get an all Riverside football league. How about an all Moval? That Moval area, there's some good teams in that area. Rancho Verde, obviously, and then these 2 teams. Is that the new facility at Canyon Springs that we're looking at?
That is the new facility at Canyon Springs High School. Moval, but look at, they're holding up the championship there. That must be the Canyon Springs. That must be their big trophy, whatever they call it.
The rivalry trophy.
The Moval Trophy. But they're getting it all wet. There's Coach right there. How good a job has he done over at Moreno Valley?
He's new. He came in and followed the legend. Coach Watkins was there forever.
Ted.
Very tough football program. No nonsense. No nonsense players, rules. And so to transition when you follow a great coach from a community, that's always a hard thing to do. And here he is back a few years later winning the league title.
And Canyon Springs going 8-2 overall, 4-1 in the league. Canyon Springs back on the rise.
Yeah, they'll get an AQ as well, and they'll get an opportunity. I mean, that program has really turned around. Remember, they were struggling years ago in the Inland Valley. We would cover them, and we're wondering, there were a lot of alums from that area, a lot of alums about Canyon Springs that said this is something that needs to go on, and now it's nice to see them kind of back elevating and going to the playoffs.
Well, see, I go back to the old Fog Dog days. Coach Fogarty, who was over at Norte Vista for a number of years with my dad. My dad was an assistant coach with Jack Fogarty, and man, I think that's probably the last time they won some championships.
With the Zomals.
Oh, the Zomals. That's right.
They were both playing there. Let's not forget Paris. Paris has struggled for many years. It's been hard for them to keep coaches. It's just been a tough place to win, and it is great if you're in the football community to see them succeed. So kudos to that staff and that community for finishing 7-3 and being in the playoffs.
Well, that will lead us to our next scoreboard, and that is the game. Paris 33-12 over Heritage. Heritage at one time, you remember about 6 years ago, they had won 40 straight league games. They've struggled a bit, but they've got a lot of new homes getting built up in Heritage. Heritage will be back, but like I said, great win for Paris out of that league.
Coach Rich McClure at Heritage is in his second year, and he's turning that program around.
All righty, let's go to the next score here.
Moval Canyon Springs, we saw that one earlier. Congratulations to Moval. They're the league champions.
All right, and then Citrus Hill getting their win, their first league win over Lakeside, 28-8. Ron Geringer getting his first league win.
Trying to rebuild that thing. I mean, there was a time when they didn't lose. They had like a 32-game winning streak about 10 years ago.
Because of the Zomo.
Was snapped by King, yeah, because of the Zomo.
Orange Vista opened up, and that always hurts when you get a community that splits, and it takes time to build that back up, especially when kids want to go to the new school. So that's been a hard place, too, after Coach McMain's went over to King. So now Coach is going to do a good job over there, and they get 3 wins. They're his first year.
All righty, so Lakeside goes to 0-10. San Jacinto, they continue to dominate their league. They win 46-0 over Temescal Canyon. The Jack is back. What's the quarterback's name? He has a funny name. Is it Hollywood or what's Showtime? Showtime must have put up some big numbers. We don't have those highlights, but Showtime with the big win. West Valley over Tockwitz. That's a rivalry game just down the street there in Hemet, as West Valley goes 28-10 over Tockwitz. And Aquinas, boy, they just win every single season as they go 55. They put up double nickels over Village Christian. They go 5-0.
Ironwood and Aquinas, again, they just keep doing what they do, Jeff.
And we want to give a shout out to our nemesis over there, not my nemesis, but Coach's nemesis over to Ontario Christian, who will finish second in the league.
Coach Stauffer getting second. So what do you have the standings of that?
Yeah. I'm not sure if we have them
No, we don't. But you can just take it real fast.
Okay, so
here.
Aquinas ends up finishing 5-0 in league and 8-2. Ontario Christian finishes 6-4. Valley Christian will finish 7-3, but Ontario Christian beat Valley Christian. So I think it'll be Aquinas, Ontario Christian, and Valley Christian.
All righty. Arrowhead Christian falls to the Big Bear Bears, 44-6. Oh, Pep Fernandez's daughter's crying in her pillow tonight as they go down to defeat.
ACA does not lose too often.
All right, let's go to the next score here. Is Linfield Christian, our buddy out there in Temecula, wins 40-0. Deshaun Burns, the legendary guy, wins 40-0 over Western Christian, and they will win their league going 5-0. Then Notre Dame falls to Hub City Colton, 62-6 in league action as Notre Dame goes to 0-5. And then Fontana, Faux-High looking to make the playoffs again after a good run as they beat Bloomington 43-0.
6-game winners.
Wow, they played one just well earlier this season. All right, then you go to Fontana, Royal Valley, losing to Carter 42-0. And let's go to the next scores. Summit, huge win.
That was a league championship game.
That's a Matheny win right there, 37-0 over Eisenhower. I'm glad I didn't bet my fingers on Eisenhower to win this season. as they go down to 2-1 in league. And then Kaiser falls to Harupa Hills. Harupa Hills with a big win.
Coach Leach.
Tommy Leach, I'll tell you what, he's going to have that thing turned around pretty quickly here as they win 35-0 over Kaiser. Then Rim of the World, the Scots go down to defeat the Grand Terrace. Grand Terrace, the league champ.
They're the league champs, yeah.
League champs, they took care of, I believe.
Big win last week.
Yeah,
They beat San Gregorio. They beat San Gregorio. I still
win.
think Rim gets in, though. They'll get an at-large.
All right, let's go to the next score here. San Gorgonio blanks Rialto 42-0 as my dear friend Chris Chaddock and Gary Hedlund
Kimchi.
go to 7-2 and 2-1, and they're eating their kimchi tonight.
Yeah, kimchi for all his men.
Can I call him to bring you some?
No,
You okay
never
with that?
again. I don't want to eat dirt ever again. It was terrible. Okay, let's go to the next score. Indian Springs falls 21-42 to San Bernardino. What does he call San Bernardino?
Cardinal City.
Cardinal City. Oh yes, 42-21 as San Bernardino gets the win over Indian Springs. And I'll tell you what. Let's see where we are here. We're moving 15 minutes to go here for the end of the show. Holy cow! We just went over the.
More scores, more highlights, more scenarios.
We need whatever we got. More cowbell.
Again, I want to give a personal shout out to head coach William Lowe and the Rancho Christian community and defensive coordinator James Seidler, who is head coach at Lakeside, who's over there now on the staff where his family is. And they were down again. We mentioned this 28-7 and ended up winning 31-28. So
On
congratulations.
the road at Hemet, right? That was at Hemet?
And how hard is it? Hemet is a good football team. We broadcasted 2 of their games. They're physically tough.
Yeah.
They're efficient on offense, and they were able to overcome a 28-7 deficit and score 24 unanswered points. Congratulations to Rancho Christian, Coach Lowe, and Coach Seidler.
All right, that says it all right there. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have what's coming up next week. We're going to have some big games coming up on Riverside TV. We'll talk some playoff action, when the announcements will come out, and we'll be right back here on the Friday Night Jeff Rally on Riverside TV.
The City of Riverside Public Works Department provides high-quality trash and recycling services for our customers. Convenient curbside trash collection services promote a clean and healthy Riverside. To help us provide you with top-quality service, we ask you to follow a few key rules. When placing your trash containers for pickup, please observe the following. Place each container with at least 3 feet separation from each other and at least 6 feet from obstructions such as parked cars, fire hydrants, mailboxes, and trees. Your bin should be placed at the curb no later than 5:30 a.m. on your collection day with the arrow on the lid pointed toward the street to ensure your bins get emptied. If you are experiencing issues with your trash collection, or perhaps need a replacement for a damaged trash bin, please contact our customer service call center by using the 311 app or website, or by dialing 951-826-5311 to reach one of our customer service representatives. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
And welcome back to the Friday Night Jeff Rally. I'm Jeff Gorham. We're joined with John Rice and Ghazal Hassan. And hey, we finished the season, guys. 10 weeks. Well, it's 11 weeks, but 10 games. We have the playoffs coming out Sunday at 10 a.m. The brackets will be released through the CIF Southern section. We'll have those on our website. 8-man football will be released at 1 o'clock. Before we get going to anything else, we have a late edition. We have highlights between, who is it? North?
Ivy League.
Ivy League North and
Vista del Lago.
Vista.
Vista del Lago trying to wrap up that third automatic qualifier out of the Ivy League, because we had the Zobalt Bowl. That's 1 and 2. Now number 3 is up for grabs.
Well, let's go to those highlights, because you have it.
Here we go, Anthony. Here's the throw back to the end zone as Damian Mendoza brings it in for North. J-Dub jumps out on top, 6-0. But here's Fabian Bolanos. He'll make this catch, and it'll be a 6-6 or 7-7 game, I guess, at this point. North on the drive, but they'll be intercepted by Willie Johnson, stepping up and making a defensive play for the Ravens. Danye Trammell here making the interception. Excuse me, that was Terrell Brown making the pick for the Ravens. North trying to stay in this one. Zavala gets it away to Nava Garcia for John W. North. Going deep on the flea flicker, this is John Garcia taking it down inside the 5. Nice play. And here comes the coup de grace. Can they finish off the drive? They certainly can, and it's going to be intercepted. TD pass picked off. That was Bolanos playing some defense. Fabian Bolanos, we saw him on the offensive side, now on the defensive side. And here he is again trying to finish it off. Bolanos to the house for the Ravens. 60-yard touchdown run. 21-7 lead for the Ravens. And Zavala launching. Garcia catching for J-Dub. That's a 40-yard touchdown for the Huskies. A little barking going on in the doghouse. And then finally, trying to keep it close here, Zavala taking it himself. That makes it a 42-21 game, and that's how it would end. Tough year at third in Chicago for John W. North, but Vista Del Lago looking very good, playing some very good football. They'll be the third automatic qualifier out of the Ivy, and they'll get a good spot in the playoffs. Nice job again by the Ravens.
Good luck to Coach Tui.
And like you said, the playoff brackets will come out at Sunday, 10 a.m. Last year we had 5 teams. I think 6 teams go to the playoffs. 5 won last year. The year before that we were 6-0. So there it is right there. Sunday, 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Check in with the Inland Sports, Pep Fernandez, and the City of Riverside. Guys, what do you know, Coach, you've been there. What's it like a Sunday morning when you know you're going to the playoffs?
You're excited. You go, you bring everybody in, you buy breakfast for your coaches, you're prognosticating. Everybody has their own brackets and their idea, and you're prepared for a few different scenarios of who you're going to play, a few different game plans you've been working on the last few weeks, and everything is new and fresh in the playoffs. It's a time for, like spring baseball, hope springs eternal.
I think the CIF does a marvelous job in putting together these divisions and the brackets and whatnot. The one tweak I wish they would make is if you're a league champion, you should get a home game.
Agreed.
Now, if that means that you're a 12 and you're playing a 5, fine, because it all evens out. Because if you're on the road in round 1 and you win, you get a home game in round 2. So nobody's getting swindled there. But if you're a league champion, and I think there's 50, I think it's a 216 teams, I think, overall. And so 50 some of them will be league champions. Those teams should get first round home games. And that's the only tweak. Otherwise, I think that it's a tough thing to do. And I know every year there are going to be some teams that feel they should have been at large that don't get in. They're going to be upset about it. That happens. Things are going to fall through the cracks. The one real change, and it's possible to do because the way they do the bracket, they could definitely do that. Give a little bit of weight to league champion. That's the only different thing that I would do.
And one thing that's been changed, and it's gone from one format to another. You're never going to please everybody, but one thing you cannot argue about is this competitive equity has given people a chance to get in the playoffs, and teams that don't finish as high can make deep runs in the playoff, as we saw, for example, for Riverside Poly last year.
Now, I'm going to put both of you guys on the spot here as we do every single year, and I have gotten it correct. I think last year I got it right, and then I got the Arlington correct. So I got Arlington and I got Ramona last year. I picked them to win it. Who's your sleeper coming into this year? I have mine. Give me yours, Gonzalo.
Well, my sleeper coming into the year was Arlington, and that did not work out particularly well. But I mean, Great Oak, I think, could be a great sleeper as well, because they probably won't be at the top of the bracket, but depending on what division they get into, that's a team that, they got some history, they got some, stick-to-itiveness, they can move it. I think Hemet could be a great sleeper, depending on what division they end up in. That's a good football team.
Who's yours, Coach?
We did our program, and I picked Hemet to win, and I was within half of a quarter, and I do think they'll make a great run in the playoffs.
All righty. Well, I have my two. I have two teams. I'm going to start this. If Hillcrest gets in the playoffs and their quarterback is back, I think Hillcrest could cause some problems. But here's my shocker. that everybody wants to know, and I've been correct. My CIF champion this year is going to be the Norda Vista Braves. Are going to win the
Go Coach
Braves.
Batdorf.
Yeah, I think it's 32 years in. Ken Batdorf deserves it, and I think if he has his guys playing at the right pace and they play cohesive football and they can throw a little bit, I think they could be the dark horse. I'm picking the Braves to win the CIF championship.
Injury-free. He's got his players back.
Does he win it and ride into the sunset like Dick Vermeil, crying the whole way? Ken Batdorf meaning?
No, Ken Batdorf doesn't
He
cry.
doesn't cry. There's no crying in football.
And when he sweats, he sweats hamburger juice. He sweats sauce. So he's fine. No, I think if Ken Batdorf wins it all, he joins us next year at Riverside TV is what I'm thinking. And we can always use a guy that likes to eat, because we all like to eat. But no, Norda Vista to win it. Next week, we have RCC football for sure. Tell us, before we get going, we have about 2 minutes here. RCC, what are your thoughts on them?
RCC and Mesa, a big win. So we're going to find out the next 3 weeks. On the road at Saddleback, I think Saddleback is 13th. Mesa at home, San Diego Mesa is 6th. And then on the road against number 16, Fullerton. Those are their last 3 games. They play 3 teams ranked. They're second in both state polls. They're number 3 in Brad Hoysett's national poll. So another year of reckoning for the Tigers. Tom Kraft and Kevin Kraft, the new offensive coordinator. James Cook, the defensive coordinator. The Tigers' battle station is fully operational.
Brady Jones, give me a couple words on him.
Man, oh man. That's all.
7 touchdowns in that game, or 8?
8 is a number I do not hate. 31 touchdowns, 2,200 yards already through the first 7 games. And yowza, that's a word about Brady Jones, the Vista Marietta product.
And just to let everybody know that Coach Tom Kraft was told after the game that he's going into the Riverside Sport Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Coach Kraft and the Tigers. We will have a game, I'm sure, maybe 2, come Friday night. Make sure you tune in. And this week, we'll have the coach's perspective. We'll give you all the games. And then we will see you guys next week. So for everybody, all you guys working over here in the cameras, Kono in the back, Jason, Scott, wherever he is, probably eating hard-boiled eggs. For everyone here at Riverside TV, we miss Pep Fernandez, even though he is hanging out with his beautiful wife tonight, and I'm here with 2 funny-looking guys.
Nice spray paint job. Who was it, Luke or Johnny, who did the spray paint job for the Jeff Rally?
That would be Pep Fernandez. I said, Pep, you got to paint that sucker, and he did. So for everybody here at Riverside TV, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Riverside Pep Rally, or the Pep Rally. What is this thing called?
It'll be restored. The Jeff Rally next week.
The Friday night Pep Rally will be back. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Jeff Rally. Good night, everyone.